Hello, everybody. Welcome to Brick and Mortar, Education from the Inside Out. This is your host, Matt Gressick.
And I'm Eric Eversole.
And today, the topic is teacher shortages, teacher recruitment, and attention to diversity in the educator workforce. I'm joined here with Royal Davis.
Hi.
Who's going to be a wonderful interview today.
As ever, Royal is currently a teacher.
Yeah.
That's why we're called Brick and Mortar, because we're bringing people from inside the building to do this. And this is a hot topic now, lots of teacher shortages. And we're going to talk about them a little bit here.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, so let's begin by just asking you really quickly, who are you and why did you choose education?
Okay. I'm Royal Davis, and I grew up in Howard County as a student first at Mount View Middle School and then at Marysbridge High School. For elementary school, I went to...
And some great teachers at Marysbridge.
yes, I would agree. Shout out to Miss Roberts, my favorite English teacher, favorite teacher in the world. So I went to an all-private elementary school, so that kind of shaped my thought on how school was supposed to be. Then when I came to public school, it was like completely different. But so now I teach at Reservoir High School as an English 9 teacher, English 12 honors teacher, and African American literature teacher. I also am the Black Student Union Advisor and the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Liaison for Reservoir.
How long have you been teaching?
This is my 4th year.
Ah, good.
Key year there.
Key moments. This is when they run away.
Yeah, exactly.
And with good reason. They're often quite worn down, aren't they? Yeah.
Hopefully she doesn't run away
She's
from this
not.
interview.
Right, exactly.
All right, so question 2. What's your most difficult / challenging, funniest, or most rewarding moment in education? In other words, what event sticks out in your memory the most?
I would definitely say my first year, I taught English 9 and honors, and I taught English 11 on grade level. And English 11 on grade level was very memorable because the kids were about 17 years old and I was 21. So that was like very difficult at points because I didn't want them to think I was their friend, but I also wanted to be there for them in that way, but also like teach them at the same time, have respect. So all those things. I remember one time this kid just wouldn't do any work for me, but I would see him like reading huge books for other classes. And so I remember I was like, hey, why don't you, I see you doing work for other classes, like you read for other classes. I was like, why don't you do work in this class? He was like, because I hate this class. And I was like, oh, wow.
How do you respond to that?
I don't know. I was just like, and I just was like froze for a second. And then he was just like, yeah, I hate it. I was like, what did I do to you? Like, I'm so sorry. And I just told him, I was like, well, you have to pass English just to graduate. So like, I'm so sorry, but yeah, I don't really know what else to say. And so from there, I remember I had an observation like soon after that. And I remember the administrator at the time told me like, everyone's not going to like English. So you kind of have to think about that when you're teaching. It's not all about the content. It's more so about the student and what they, so that really helped me, him saying that, because I was like, oh, okay, everyone doesn't like English. So how can I make this fun for everyone? If they're like a science kid or a math kid, like how can I, so, but it really like hurt me, but then it was like really funny too, because he just said it straight up and I was just like, okay.
It hit you right, it hit you right in the heart there. You're like, what?
So did you make any? Did you do anything to endear him any further? Or did he? I mean, that's a big challenge. Sometimes you just wait and nothing happens. They still hate your class.
I know. So I would try to engage him more, like when I ask questions and stuff. You know, try to get his interest on different things. I would look at the covers of the books he was reading, try to talk about some of that stuff. But I remember the midterm came. And he literally had like an E the entire time until the midterm. He got a 99% on it.
So he was capable of just boring.
Yes, capable. I was like, you just hate English, pretty much. That's what. So he was getting the content, understanding everything, paying attention, I guess, but just wouldn't do the work.
Royal, I taught math, and kids, some of them hated it. Mostly, they just thought they were going to be bad at it all the time.
Yeah.
So they would go, I'm not a math person.
Yeah.
I would always go.
I've taught history for 20 years. I've never had them hate history at all.
No.
Once ever. No,
Well,
it's always been love. It's
not
every single time.
Not everybody loves history until they get into Mr. Graphic class.
Maybe I would have liked it if I had to.
Then they absolutely love it. So yes, nice challenging moment. And would that happen in your first year?
That was my first year. So I was like, oh my gosh. Like, I don't
I'm in
know.
the wrong profession.
Yeah, because I'm like always trying to have fun, always smiling and laughing. And he wouldn't laugh at any of my jokes. And this was before masks. So he was like showing me all the faces and there was no faces. So I was just like, But yeah.
Good for you. Well, you're still smiling. So
Yeah.
there you go. So one of the things we've done in the legislature is pass something called the Blueprint for Maryland's Future. And one big part of that is certainly we're worried about the lack of teachers that we have right now. We're in some danger. There's a lot of teacher shortages, and there's a lot of reasons for that. So first thing I'm going to ask you to do is to talk about why you think we're having trouble attracting people into the profession, and why we're maybe having trouble holding on to them, yourself excluded, of course, because you're staying.
Yes, I'm here. I think one reason that it might be hard to get teachers to join is that people, every time when someone asks me what I do, and I say I'm a teacher, they're like, ugh. And I'm just like, what? What's wrong? They're like, the kids. I can't believe you deal with those kids. And I'm like, yeah, I love teaching because of the kids. But a lot of the people might like the content, but they don't want to teach the kids. And they're all worried about the behavior they have to go through or the different people they have to interact with to make sure. So I think it's always been the behavior thing, I guess. And people don't have the patience for that, to have to do behavior management and things like that. And then also with teaching, for me, I think one of the more difficult parts is in your first couple years, you're like creating the content that you want to teach, trying to build the lessons and all that. And that can be very hard work. And I think teaching is one of those professions that you take a lot of the work home. And it's not like, other jobs where you just do it in the office and then you go home and it's like not until you get back there. So I think that's one of the things is just the work-life balance of it all. And then you're dealing with human lives. So you hear stories and it wears on you and you're like, I don't want to deal with that.
One of the pushes has been to try to help early, and since you're a relatively new teacher, to help them get some support in their early years. That didn't happen when I was teaching. Of course, that was back when dinosaurs were people that we rode the kids in. But did you feel that, did you feel like there was good support for you to try to keep you on track and people giving you advice? Because we've really worked hard to try to to keep our good people around.
Yeah, I had a mentor. Her name was Leanne. I think last name Reed, maybe. But she would come in and observe me, and it was like one of those where she wasn't evaluating me. She was just trying to help. So that really helped me my first year. Just at the beginning of the year, she would come in, try to teach me more about like structuring my lessons better, making sure everything was like cohesive and stuff like that. So that really helped me. And I don't think I thought I was going to get one of those, like a mentor or something, an instructional mentor. I didn't think that was a thing. And then when I came in, I was like, wow. And I would tell other of my friends that, because I went to school in North Carolina in college. So I would tell them about it and they're like, what? Like you have a mentor? Like that just doesn't sound
And that's critical, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, we're going to identify you as an African American here because the next question is relevant, and I want to hear your answer to this because one of the things we've tried to do in the Blueprint is we're very concerned about the diversity of our school personnel. It's pretty well documented that a child of color is more comfortable learning from someone of color, and children who are white are a little more comfortable. We're way out of proportion. We need more black teachers in the school.
Yeah.
So did that factor into your decision to become a teacher? Were you encouraged because you were black? Was there anything, did the state offer any incentives to you to try to encourage you in?
Yeah, so I went to Mary's Ridge, which was predominantly white, and so I decided I wanted to go to an HBCU, which is historically black college or university. So I did that my 4 years at Winston-Salem State, and then from there I was going to stay in North Carolina and teach, but they don't get paid enough, so I was like, I gotta go home.
They don't get paid enough.
So Maryland pays well.
Yeah.
They don't.
Listen to that, all you were thinking about teaching. Come to Maryland.
Yeah, so I was like, let me go home so I don't have to struggle. So I came home, but I wanted to teach in a school like Reservoir where it's very diverse as far as our population goes, so it's socioeconomically as well as just ethnicity-wise. So I chose that because I've been the African-American student at Mary's Ridge who didn't have a lot of black teachers. I think I might have had one. And then that was like a foods class, so it wasn't like an academic course. And that really meant a lot to me to be able to teach kids that looked like me because I knew how that felt. And coming from an all-black private school as an elementary school student, then going to a predominantly white middle school, the stuff they were learning was different. Like the Black history is what we were taught from that lens anyway in elementary school. And then coming to middle school, I'm like, what are these wars and who are these people and all this stuff? So it was just a completely different lens that they were teaching from. So my parents explained to me, when I wasn't doing well, because I was thriving at my school and had like all Black teachers in elementary school. And then coming to middle school, it was like, I don't see anybody that looks like me. I don't understand this content. So my parents were like, you just have to work harder. At their dinner tables, they might be talking about this stuff because their parents or whoever might have been part of these things in history. So you just have to study harder and do more. And so that kind of just weird on me. But now that I teach these students, and I teach students of like all different races and stuff, but I do get certain students who I don't even teach coming to me, asking me questions, trying to get help from me or tutoring help from me because they just, even if they don't know me, they just see my skin color and they're like, I think you can identify with me.
Yeah,
I think you know how I feel.
Yeah. Right. So you came to it out of a sense of personal responsibility.
Yes, for sure.
Good on you.
Yeah.
Really good on you.
Well, that's why, I knew that she would be perfect for our first interview.
Yes.
And
you are, first interview.
First ever interview.
We interviewed each other for the first time.
But one of the things that, one of my first interactions with you, Royal, I remember you had your Winston-Salem State University shirt on. And I said, my dad went to Winston-Salem State on a minority scholarship as well. And you looked me up and down like I was lying.
I was like, maybe he's talking about a different school around there.
That's great.
But it's so wonderful to have you at Reservoir. And we'll talk more about that later. But let's see. I think I'm going to hear something. Come on.
Pick up for the call.
All right. Hello there, caller. Well, caller, what's your name?
Frankie Gressick.
Gressick.
Wow.
What a coincidence.
It's two in a row.
Yeah, two
Last
in a row.
Last week was Eversole. This week it's Gressick.
Frankie
Who
Gressick.
would have figured that a caller...
I have a son named Frankie Gressick. That's crazy.
That is... I don't know how that's true. Okay.
All right. Well, do you have a question, caller?
Yes, I do. What is one factor that would attract more teachers to the workforce and help them keep them there? What is one factor that makes them leave?
Well, that is a great question. So relevant.
Yeah, for sure.
How do we get these callers that are so on point?
Well, let's let our guest go off and answer this first. So, Royal, what do you think?
I think one thing that could help teachers stay longer is, because I remember we had the instructional mentor my first year and then COVID and then who knows what happened after that. But I think if we had those mentors throughout, like maybe our first 3 years while we're not tenured yet, that might help to keep us motivated, because having like the TDL in the school system helps, in your school helps. But I think just having that mentor just throughout your first 3 years is really key.
And Mr. Gressick, you said the other question was what's one that makes them leave? Is that right?
Yes.
Go ahead and answer that for us.
I think one that makes
chatty.
He is so chatty.
One thing that might make teachers leave early on is probably just the burnout of having to do all the work and then still you take it home and then you go to sleep and you wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning the next day and do it all over again. Just that routine. I think last year I started to really realize the routine of it and I was like, ooh, this is like crazy. I'm waking up at 5. I'm not getting home till 9 sometimes if I have other things to do throughout my day. And then I have to go right to sleep and then wake up again. I think that's just the time that it takes to do all the things. And I think we have helped a lot with like some of our modules like on Canvas from the county that they've given us, like lessons that they've made themselves or they had teams make. And that helps like teachers who offer some of their lessons that you can remake or remodel for yourself. So just having support pretty much from other teachers and people that have been doing this for X amount of years.
There you go.
Good answer.
Wonderful answer.
Hey, Frankie, what was his last name again?
I believe Gressick.
Hey, Frankie Gressick, thank you so much for calling in.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
All right. You're up.
So the next question is, of course, a very important one. What is the biggest misconception people outside the school building have about what happens day to day in your life?
Yeah. I would say one of the biggest misconceptions is that teachers don't teach anymore. We just give worksheets and let the kids just work on them.
Or electronic stuff.
Or show movies.
Yeah. We just because we're so lazy nowadays and we don't care anymore and we let them be on their phones and all the things. And the way I counter that is like, no, we're just using those resources. But at the same time, I still stand up in front of the class. I still have slides. I still do lessons. So I just want everyone to know, like, we're still teaching and they're doing the work as well.
You're still pounding rocks, right? Good. Excellent answer. Okay, last question.
Yeah. Go ahead.
So you're a little disadvantaged here because Matt and I both taught at Reservoir High School,
Yes.
so we've answered this question for Reservoir. But so we would say, what should the mascot of your last school or a school you attended tell us what the mascot is, and tell us what it should have been?
Yeah. I would say I went to Marysbridge High School, and our mascot was the Mustangs.
The Mustangs.
The Mustangs. And I think maybe to be more fun, it should have been like the cows. Because it was so many cows.
The heifers.
I remember when we first moved out there in like 2004, there was a cow walking across the street. I was like, oh, okay, yeah. This is not, I don't know where I am right now. But yeah, the cows, definitely.
Held up the school buses, made them late to school.
Yes.
There you go.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a great answer.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Wonderful answer.
All right.
Well, that concludes it. I just want to say, Royal, thank you so much. Not only for coming on this podcast, but for being a teacher. I see you in the building, and you're absolutely correct. There are so many kids that come up to you, and you are inspiration to them. I'm telling you, they will never forget you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And thank you from the
And I
bottom of
really
my heart.
honor you for coming to the profession, especially because you know that you could service
Yeah.
the minority students in the school. It's really outstanding.
Yeah.
So, well, listen, this is the end of our second episode.
Yep.
And we hope you'll tune in again soon. Royal, thank you so much
Yes,
for being
thank
here.
you.
All right.
Take care.